Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you're new here, this channel breaks down the stories everyone is talking about with context, calm, and respect. Today we're taking a careful look at a rumor that has moved from whispers to trending in a matter of hours, the off-screen connection between Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktaş, co-leads of the series Professionalism. You've asked us to follow the timeline, weigh what's known against what's guessed, and explain why a single sighting can ignite an entire week of speculation. That's exactly what we'll do. If you value thorough, responsible coverage for text-to-speech, make sure to like, subscribe, and keep the comments kind. Let's start where the story truly began, on set. From the first weeks of Professionalism, the working rhythm between Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktaş felt precise. Script supervisors noticed how quickly they locked into eye lines. Camera operators noted how their pauses gave editors clean seams between angles. Directors leaned on them for difficult pivots because they hit emotional marks without dragging scenes into melodrama. That is craft, not gossip. But craft creates the conditions for chemistry, and audiences always feel chemistry first. It is no surprise that viewers who believed Dylan and Baron on screen wondered whether the warmth survived beyond the final cut. Across a long production schedule, small habits become patterns. In interviews, both actors praised crew first, then each other, then the process. During late-night shoots, they were often seen reviewing the next day's lines with pencils and sticky notes rather than pushing the work to the morning. When a lighting setup overran, they stepped off to a quiet corner rather than into a phone. Nothing in this list proves romance. It does prove alignment. And alignment is why rumors find such fertile ground. Now to the spark that sent the story into overdrive. In the last 48 hours, several outlets and fan pages amplified paparazzi photos that appear to show Yağmur Yüksel exiting the building where Barış Baktaş lives, getting into a waiting car, and leaving the street quickly. The images are real in the sense that they exist, the context is where responsible reporting matters. Were they returning from a production meeting that ran late? Was there a small group inside and only one person was photographed leaving? Were the photos taken on a night when scripts were due and two professionals chose to revise in the same room, as actors often do? Or was this a private visit after a long day, the kind of ordinary that becomes extraordinary once a camera appears? At this hour, no principal has confirmed any explanation. That is not a loophole. It is the current limit of public facts. The internet, of course, dislikes limits. Within minutes of the first upload, edits paired the photos with tender Professionalism scenes, captions like "from fiction to reality," and playlists that did most of the narrative work. Hashtags trended. Some fans declared the relationship confirmed. Others pushed back, reminding everyone that actors do line runs together all the time, especially before emotionally heavy episodes. A smaller group warned against turning a private doorway into a public referendum. All three reactions tell us something about fandom at scale: hope, caution, and the instinct to protect can coexist in the same feed. Let's slow down and map the timeline as cleanly as possible. First, the working months. The show's mid-season stretch included multiple block shoots, which often kept the leads at the studio late. Reports from inside production described a steady routine: table read, rehearsal, camera, reset, pickup. Between takes, both actors stayed close to the monitor and to the script supervisor's station. Post-shoot, they sometimes left separately, sometimes with the same production shuttle, depending on call times. Normal. Second, the interviews. In recent appearances, Barış spoke about trust on set that doesn't need many words, and Yağmur mentioned carrying scenes more easily when your partner is listening as much as acting. Neither line is a confession. Both are the vocabulary of a pair that works well together. Third, the sighting. The photos show a night street, a closed storefront, and a car paused just long enough to collect a passenger. The angles are long lens, the faces are visible but not close. The timestamps from different pages are inconsistent, which suggests re-uploads rather than a single, verifiable source. That does not make the content fake, it does make the context unstable. Fourth, the reaction. Fan communities split along familiar lines. Some celebrated immediately, as if the sighting fulfilled a promise the show had been making for a year. Others urged patience, pointing out that professionals deserve the benefit of the doubt when images arrive without clear metadata. A handful of accounts scolded paparazzi culture outright, noting that a front door is not a public square and that uninvited photography at night rarely yields good information. Where do Yağmur, Yüksel and Barış Baktaş stand in all this? Their public posture has been consistent since episode 1. Keep the focus on the work, keep the private private, and speak in complete sentences when you do speak. Neither owes the audience a relationship label. If they are partners off-screen, the most likely confirmation will arrive in the form of a calm, short statement after the two of them have shared the news with family and close friends. If they are not, a denial will likely be equally short and equally calm. In both cases, the correct posture for the rest of us is the same: wait for accountable words attached to accountable names. While we wait, it helps to understand why this pairing drew such intense attention. Part of it is the genre. Romantic drama fans are experts at reading subtext. Part is the staggered rhythm of modern promotion, teasers, behind-the-scenes clips, live Q&As, that encourage audiences to knit together a larger story. Part is simply that these two actors are good at their jobs. They sell a shared world so convincingly that viewers want that world to exist beyond a soundstage. There is nothing wrong with wanting that. The problem begins when wanting turns into insisting. There are also practical reasons the sighting might have nothing to do with romance. Self-tapes and script sessions often happen in private homes. Not every creative conversation fits a cafe table. Production schedules can make a late-night line run the only efficient option. And in a city where traffic can turn a 30-minute drive into 90, proximity sometimes determines logistics more than anything else. If you work together, live near each other, and have a heavy day coming, it is reasonable to meet where the pages are. On the other hand, you cannot ignore the possibility that the photos captured something tender in its early, unannounced stage. If that's true, the decent response is to hope both people get to experience it without the constant pressure of commentary. Relationships begun under a floodlight often bend to accommodate the light rather than the people in them. The best way fans can support a real connection is to lower the volume. Celebrate the work. Decline to interrogate family and friends. Resist the urge to scour backgrounds for clues that are none of our business. For those asking whether this rumor will affect paparazzi itself, the answer depends on the same principle that got the pair here: professionalism. If the relationship is purely collegial, nothing changes. If something more develops, the healthiest sets turn that reality into a non-issue by emphasizing boundaries and schedules. History across television says the same thing: the work survives if the adults in the room act like adults. A brief word on media literacy, because it matters every time a long lens image becomes a week's worth of content. Ask 3 questions before you share: who took the photo and why? What context is missing that would change your interpretation? What is your goal in pressing post: to inform, to inflame, or to feel included? If the answer is anything other than to inform responsibly, reconsider. Fan communities become safer and stronger when they reward careful behavior, not velocity. So where does this leave us tonight? With a clean, honest summary you can carry without adding harm. Yağmur, Yüksel and Barış Baktaş built real trust on the set of paparazzi. A paparazzi sighting, unverified in source but widely shared, appears to show Yağmur leaving the building where Barış lives. No principal has confirmed or denied any romantic relationship. Multiple plausible explanations exist, including work sessions and simple proximity. The respectful stance is to wait for official words and, in the meantime, keep support focused on the work rather than on private doorways. If a statement comes, we will cover it with the same balance you expect from this channel. If no statement comes, that silence is a boundary and deserves respect. Either way, the story that has always mattered most remains intact: 2 actors doing precise, generous work that gave an audience a world to believe in for an hour a night. Thank you for watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If this approach, slow, careful, and human, Sounds like your speed. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and consider joining to help us keep investing time where the truth tends to live, between the headlines. In the comments, tell us how you hold hope and patience at the same time. We read everything, and we moderate for kindness, because there are real hearts at the center of these conversations.